And this recording will potentially be shared on YouTube, but at the very least, we can share that between ourselves as required, depending on what the information is that we are sharing here. Okay, right. Let's start introductions. I mean, I'll just give a quick shout out. So my name is Christian. I'm a stake pool operator of Shift Pool, one of the active pool members of the climate neutral Cardano group, and often also an organizer for these meetings. So if you need anything happening, you can always directly email me and I'll try to organize it if I can. I run my stake pool with a friend of mine that is whose name is Hamish. Myself, I have a science background and I look at a lot of the climate change related stuff that we're doing with a scientific perspective. And I'm here in this Cardano community and as a stake pool in order to do something for good, to bring some kind of action into it, and also be an earlier developer and make Cardano a climate neutral space, because there's an urgent need for that. We have supported smaller charities before, from the Veritree project to Trees for Life in the UK. We are based in the UK and are working from here. Yeah, that's basically, I think, from me for now. If you want to say, if anyone else wants to continue, Brian, do you want to do it?
Sure. So my name is Brian. I operate Gaia Stake Pool along with my wife, Lisa. We started the stake pool because we want to get further into the Cardano community and contribute back. So we love to hike with our dogs and want to see the world still exist and be restored in a better way for the future. So our hope is to do that with our stake pool and as well as participate with Climate Neutral Cardano. So it's exciting to see more and more people get involved, and hopefully we can make this happen together. As far as other activities we do, we've got a podcast about cryptozoology, if anybody's interested. It's called the Rocky Mountain Cryptids. And we also are making a sustainable card game called Captivate Cardano Edition, and we'll see the results in Catalyst funding, I guess, tomorrow. Hopefully we got funded. So yeah, those are what we're up to. Yes, Stefan?
Hi, everybody. Yeah, very great to see so many people here today. My name is Stefan. I'm from Germany. I run CO2 Pool together with my son. And I have a background in environmental engineering. So maybe next one, Vito.
Thank you, Stefan. So I'm Vito. I'm from Venezuela. I run Granada staking pool. We have as a goal to sustainable decentralize the Cardano ecosystem, and we also run our renewables, of course. We also focus a little bit in the social sustainability, like we also donate for to all charities like the World Food Program to help families in that live in who live in countries with humanitarian crisis. So yeah, very happy to see all these new faces and looking forward to where we can build together. So who can go next?
I can go next.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. My name is Ben, and together with my brother Abe and my sister Lauren, we run Hodler Staking Pool. And I have a background in engineering. I'm a embedded software engineer in the automotive space. And I was introduced to blockchain technology in general after I graduated from university, and I was certainly disturbed by the power consumption that's happening in proof of work, and I was very interested in blockchain, but hesitant for that reason. So when I did get involved, I made sure to find the green side of crypto and contribute where I could. And I pulled in my brother and sister. Abe's on this call too. Hi, Abe. And together we're a little family-run SPO as well. And we are Hodler. We're very much climate focused. Abe and I both have photovoltaic systems on our roofs, and you know we run our stake pool out of our homes. And beyond that, we have a project in Catalyst. We're also hoping to get funded for a renewable powered wallet. It's a NAMI fork. So we're hopeful for tomorrow's news as well. And we're excited to be part of Carbon Neutral Cardano. I think we became active members recently, and you know, we're excited for this project in Madagascar, and hoping it can be impactful. You know, real world impact on real world people is, it might not be the biggest headline in the world, but I think it's a good use of our time and our resources. So very excited to be part of it. Thank you.
Yeah, I can continue. I'm Markus from Vital Stake Pool. I'm located in Austria, and professional background is I'm working as a solution architect for digitalization projects, also in software engineering area. To climate neutral blockchain group, I had a touch in the very early phase, I would say, when it was just 2, 3, 4 persons in there. But since then, I was quite silent as I was active in other communities. And Brian invited me to the meeting, so that's why I'm showing up here today again. Thanks for that, Brian. In terms of CO2 neutrality, I think it's important for Cardano because, in my opinion, it could unlock enterprise adoption, because if some enterprises search for the right blockchain for their project, they will search for projects which fulfill a list of requirements, and one of those requirements is it needs to be CO2 neutral, or at least green, aside of other aspects like providing the required features, of course, but also projects which support a good case. And my main topic of the pool, I would say, is actually not CO2 neutrality. It's supporting refugees. So that's where I'm primarily donating to. But I was part of the Very Tree, or I donated for the Very Tree project at least. And I also donated to some other projects in that area as well. So I run on renewables, of course, and I also offset the remaining energy consumption to really be CO2 neutral. And I can't wait for the news today, or for your plans. I was not involved in that, so it's absolutely new. For me, unfortunately, I have to leave already at past. I'm not sure if we come to that point within the time, but yeah, over to the next.
We'll try to give you a quick introduction before past. So yeah, but who is next who hasn't really said anything yet? Gregory, maybe? If we can hear you. Well, you seem to be on mute.
Sorry, guys.
Oh, yeah. Hello.
My name is Greg. I'm the stake pool of Valsi, and it's been almost 3 years I've been running Valsi, and it was really hard time just to get around staking, because I didn't have enough staking to run the pool. But I'm part of the alliance, the LI. They don't want to support my pool at the same time, and we have to sit down and find an idea just to grab stakers to stick around my pool. It was really difficult. but my pool was for decentralized for helping Haiti. At the same time, since I'm living in Montreal, why not contribute with guys and do a donation with guys so we could support one another, and that's pretty much it.
Thank you, Greg. Who's missing? H. I don't know if the connection works better now. Are you able to say something? Introduce yourself.
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yes, perfect.
I'll try also to put my camera on. Can you see me?
Oh, is it you, Richard?
Yeah, Richard Schiff.
You're cheeky with your name. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, my real name is Ricardo Lopes. I come from Portugal, but I live in Germany. And I'm here more as a listener, not as a staking pool operator, because as a moderator and also because of my will to help others, and especially the staking pools that are doing something good for the environment and for everyone. As a moderator for the Smart Places protocol project on Cardano. Yeah, I'm here more to hear what you guys are doing and maybe find a way to connect Smart Places protocol with renewable energies and with Cardano neutral, with climate neutral Cardano, or Cardano climate neutral.
Climate neutral Cardano.
Climate neutral Cardano, yeah, exactly.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got 2 more people to say hello. Do you want to go, Yoram?
Yeah, hello everyone. So I'm Yoram from the Cardano for Climate community. Basically, our goal is to promote climate-related and impact-related areas within the Cardano ecosystem. We feel that it's at such early stage of the blockchain, there's an opportunity to collaborate together and actually make an impact on the blockchain direction. And this is really our goal, so to make sure that this blockchain is being used for good. Many projects within us, and I'm looking forward to collaborate in this one and see how some of the project can help with transparency, traceability, and others of the Madagascar project in any other way we can also to the community. So yeah, happy to be here, and thank for all of you making the carbon a green one. It's a very important one argument when we go out and speak with other people. So yeah.
Thank you, Yoram. Devin, I think you're the last.
My name is Devin. My associate Alex and I run Yoon Stake Pool. We're based in the Pacific Northwest, and we're one of the active members of Climate Neutral Cardano.
Oh, thank you.
I can do a little bit there if you like, Christian, as well. Jeremy here from 46 South.
All right, sorry. Yes.
That's right. Yeah, I was saying a little bit right at the very beginning, but for those that weren't there, so Jeremy from 46 South, way down in New Zealand. So I'm actually a civil engineer. And what I generally do from a day job is a lot of it is dealing with climate change and the impacts of it. So renewing infrastructure, changing infrastructure that's been affected by climate change. And yeah, been getting into Cardano and a bunch of other stake blockchains as well. But obviously the proof of stake has been a much more energy efficient one, and that all aligned with New Zealand, really, that New Zealand is known as clean and green. Not always the case, and there's always improvements that we need to be doing, but yeah, happy to be here and learning a bit more, and next time I'll make sure I have my camera sorted. So yeah,
no worries. I think we don't always have to see all our tired faces, but some people might be very happy, and but there we go, next time. So quickly, we have 10 minutes, I think, for Marcus, just to give him a little sort of intro. I don't know what everyone has seen so far, but we have shared with some people. We have shared the brochure. Did you?
Sorry, I don't think Lucas got to go.
Yeah, I can add a little introduction if you want.
Oh, sorry. Did I not? I thought you did. Sorry, apologies.
No problem, no worries. I'm Lucas from Renew Pool. I'm based in Switzerland. I have a background in IT and automatization engineering. The pool is all about refurbishing, recycling, and renewable energies. It's run on renewable energies. And I'm currently building a large-scale 3D printer that can print objects by using recycled plastics. So directly shredding, for example, PET bottles and printing new objects from that. And installing solar power plants with refurbished solar modules, because I'm working professionally in a solar module manufacturing company here in Switzerland. So I have access to some products that are not A grade for the customers, but are still good, and I like to use things as long as they are good and repair stuff. Yeah.
Thank you, Lucas. And sorry again, is there anyone else that I've now forgotten that should still introduce themselves? No? Okay. Just wary of the time, just for Marco's sake. So we might just as well jump into it. And what we have is, I think I'll just start with the brochure that Devin made for us and that we have shared with some people already. And it's sort of our first summary of the project, an introduction. I'll just share it on the screen here, I think. Let's see if that works. That may be easier to share what's happening. Sorry, can you see this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, that's good.
So this is just our first attempt on marketing, and I would claim we probably are not the best at it, because we have been focusing a lot on actually establishing the project, and we haven't really come widely to the marketing part of it. But you are now basically becoming some of the first people seeing what we put together. We have to a degree teased people about it. We have talked about Madagascar project, so you'll know it's a project in Madagascar. But this is the brochure that we can share with you, I think, later on as well, if you haven't had it yet. That just summarizes a little bit of the project from the start to the beginning, gives you a little bit of background, actually shows you our fantastic token that we want to launch, and also tells you about the impact that this will have, which is really why we're doing this. So this is a 4-page document initially, and it's currently made more for delegators, I believe. We are thinking about making this more stake pool relevant. So your questions today are kind of important for us. So if we want more stake pools on board, about what are the things that we have to put in there that is, relevant to you, to get people on board. And then we also want to put these things online, so it's more easily accessible. But at the moment, we haven't really officially launched. So you're some of the, besides the active group, you're some of the first people that see how this all fits together. And that's what we have done first with this brochure. So the brochure itself just starts with an introduction of us and our background with Veritree, for example, to get people on board and what we have done before, and that we have planted or helped plant 1 million trees in Kenya. We are announcing, or we have called this project that we're launching here, Climate Neutral Cardano Ala, or CNC Ala. And the name really comes from a mix from our name and then the NGO that we work with, that is called Tetikasa Ala. And in Malagasy, that means Project Forest. Ala means forest, and Tetikasa means Ala. And the charity is called Tetikasa Ala. You can also find it on Twitter under that name. It's a very small charity, and we came together by luck. a little bit through the Very Cheap project initially and some of our pools, and there is also some support of an neighboring project that basically got us in touch with them. They're very they're very much in need of support. They have had support from the French government before, and right now that support runs out, and we have the opportunity here to continue this fantastic project for them and really put our stamp on it and connect really the Cardano community with something that really happens on the ground, where we have all the strings, we can ask all the questions, we can get all the feedback, but we also have to do all the work. So it's not just taking 20% of our profits or income and donate it somewhere, and then we get some piece of paper that says that we are doing this. But this is a full-blown project where we directly communicate with the NGO. They're relying on us to make sure we get enough funding to them every month. And we also get directly information, pictures, stories back from them in order to communicate what they're achieving. We'll get a little bit more into the impact here, but what we also realize, and the other reason why we do this, because a lot of our pools, even though we do good stuff and we maybe all initially thought this will be enough to have our pools survive by doing donations, but you probably all have learned that that is not by itself often sufficient to do really achieve a certain degree of delegation, that particularly to reach, for example, your 1 million milestone or your 2 million milestone. We're also flooded with ISPOs. So we have been working for the last probably over half a year now, trying to discuss various sort of ISPO, although it's not quite an ISPO model. We knew at the end that we had to launch a token, because in order to attract delegators, you want to give them something that they can showcase what they're doing. And it's also very helpful if we as an SPO community want to become more of an NGO-like community, that we have a little bit of a brand. People can showcase what they're doing through the token. And that's why, in this case, actually, Devin here from Unpool has put a lot of effort in creating a very beautiful token that will be minted. This is actually a fully animated 3D token. I can show you the animation later, but maybe I don't want to stretch it too much. That will be launched aside with the ISPO and with the project. That will be given to our delegators. So all of participating pools will get the ability to delegate or share these tokens with their delegators automatically. I already mentioned this, so just a few points here in terms of the project. We have some video material. We have had multiple meetings with the charity already. So a lot of our time has been spent on vetting the organization. So we're not having some sort of organization where we just send money to and nothing happens. So we have had probably about, I think, 3 or 4 meetings so far with the charity itself. We also have recorded some of them. So if people want to see them, from the very early ones to some intermediate ones, including when they report back to us in terms of their processing and how we are transferring money to them. So there was a lot of interesting stuff already happening here, and trying to get this project going. And also before we get other people on board, that we kind of wanted to have all of the pieces sort of in place, at least in general. So the CNC Ala project in general is a permaculture project in Madagascar. And that means we will plant trees, shade trees, but we also will plant fruit trees and other vegetables in order to feed the population there. Madagascar has a massive problem with deforestation, and it also have a massive problem with drought at the moment. Actually, not just at the moment, but in the last 2 years, that people are starving down there. And that also leads to the problem that more deforestation happens because people have, as only means of income, have wood or selling wood on markets and so forth. So they are cutting down whatever they have. So basically a permaculture project, we think, is sort of bringing everything together. It provides food, it prevents people from logging more of the forest, and it also itself is a carbon capture system, including shade trees that are staying there for a long time. The group that we are working with, they're experts in this, or some of them are experts in permaculture, and some of them are very charity driven and project management driven. We can show you more about that, but I'll just scroll through. So if Marcus is having any questions, you know, we can share that with him quickly, or in kind of any Telegram messages if you want to ask them later on, that's fine. So the impact of the project will be on the environment, help reverse land degradation, deforestation, and recreate some of the biodiversity that Madagascar is so well known for, and that will certainly be lost if more of the forest lands are lost, including the lemur. That's probably a lot of people know about. Madagascar is a very unique species that only exists there. As I said, we will reforest the area through our project, but also more importantly, we have an economic impact that the farmers that are working there with us are going to make, have some income from this, and also create some food for their families, which hopefully makes this project a long-term project that really provides benefit all around. There will be a social impact, obviously. Hopefully the farmers children can go to school and learn about permaculture. The people that we know on the ground, the charity on the ground, they can teach, and we may be able to create stories about this if we can, you know, solidify our connection with them. So what we really need to do is basically come together and create enough funding for them to survive, and then hopefully to actually deliver the whole project. So on the last slide here, we have a bit of an overview of what's probably more practical information here after the why and how we came together. And that is basically, right, I think I have an older version here of the material, sorry about that. But basically the practical idea of the project is that we want to plant 100,000 plants. So that includes trees, fruit trees, and other plants. Sorry about the numbers here, so it was out of date. We have a full cost estimate from CNC Ala of how much that may cost, and that was about $300,000 when we did the calculation here. That was when ADA was valued a little bit higher, and hopefully we'll come back there, and hopefully we'll go much higher. So that will be easier to reach these targets. But we have an intermediate milestone for a smaller area that is for about $50,000 and about a 4-hectare piece that they will start with. So the 100,000 trees is sort of the full project, and hopefully if funding works really well, if we get lots of donations, we might be able to fund this project for the next 3 or 4 years for them to plant all these plants and reforest about a 20-hectare area in Madagascar and produce food there for not just the next 3 years, but for the future to come. 2 ways for, so yeah, the collaboration is between, CNC Ala and as the NGO and ourselves as the CNC group, Stake Pool Operator Group. And there are 2 ways to participate there. The main, or the way for us as stake pool operators initially, the most important one is that people are delegating to us, and they will achieve, they will get CNC tokens for it, and that by that we increase our delegation, and we can then increase our donation along that. What we need to do as stake pools, and what we have done as active stake pools in the community since we started, is that all our active pool members, as well as the people that want to participate in this project, should commit to donate 20% of their income to this project. How exactly that happens could be debated, but that is sort of, depending on how many pools we get together and how small pools are, you know, there will be limits on how fast we can achieve our targets, depending on how much people donate, how big our pools get. And, you know, and that, you know, there's a benefit in us growing our pools and our delegation. But we are also in the longer run, thinking that we want to allow direct donations to the project, possibly through intermediate donation or people buying CNC tokens, and that money goes directly to the Madagascar project. that might achieve this 300,000 ADA faster than through our delegation, depending on how many pools are participating and how long. The initial phase for us here, and we have already started actually donating. So our active pools have already done the first donations to show our commitment, and also to start not just asking the charity for giving us a lot of information and make plans, but also to show and get them started on things. So we have already donated more than 2,000, nearly 3,000, actually more than 3,000 ADA, depending on how we split up the donations. We've started in April with test donations, and we have started, we have continued with some additional donations in May. And so there will be monthly donations from each pool, and we are tracking that, and we will showcase that on the Climate Neutral Cardano website, and you can showcase that on your pool websites as well, obviously. The initial phase is that we planned for 6 months, so we don't know how far we're getting there, and we don't know how well this is going. This is going to go. We have no idea if this is going to be a big splash, and we are going to sell out, or we're going to have massive pool following plus donations, and we hope that, of course, but that will also depend on participating pools and our marketing skills and how we're launching everything. So there's a certain amount of work still to be done. And that's partly why you're here. We haven't really just waited until we have everything ready, but we need your input and help. And we hope we can come together as a community if everyone has their little piece to do. Currently, in terms of tokens, you have seen the design. We have a plan currently to mint 100 million tokens. And we have done some tokenomics. Brian has a couple of graphics about that for people who can stay a bit longer. So, then we can share that. We can talk a little bit more about that. In order to make that interesting for people that are not just interested in supporting the project, there is some utility we are creating here for the tokens. We are only in the beginning of this, but we have started collaborations with a number of NFT artists, Cardano Proxies being one of them, who have helped us a lot. And they're not here today, but they are supporting us in this journey, and they have also already donated to some of the projects. We are thinking about maybe bringing some more NFT artists in, but the idea is that people can exchange their NFTs, sorry, their fungible tokens, the CNC tokens, for NFTs at the 6 months or at certain time frames that we decide in the project. And yeah, and that's what they can redeem for their currency at the moment. We also are planning additional token utility. We have been generally talking about carbon credits. That's partly why Yoram is here today, and we have been talking for a long time, because we think if we do a tree planting project or a permaculture project, it makes a lot of sense that we also reap the kind of carbon credits out of that. And if we can bring that into sort of a utility case for our tokens, that will create additional value for the token in the future. But there is another, large piece of work in making that happen on top of what we are already having on in terms of launching this. So this is sort of the initial brochure that we have. So there's not really any detail on how we interact with stake pools, for example, how many tokens we get, how we distribute. So we can talk about that in the meeting today, because there's only so much you can put on an advertisement, if you like, to make it interesting and not overwhelming. A lot of this information will end up to go on our website. We haven't really defined exactly of when and when is that happening, but we have already said that we officially started sort of launching the project or donating to the project in May. But we are, in terms of timeline, thinking of doing a proper launch with various groups, including Cardano for Climate, for example, and more people that are interested in combining just this project with other projects that maybe in the Cardano community are running, to bring more people in, and people can make their own decision whether or not they want to support this project or other projects, because there's a lot of good stuff happening. on the blockchain, and they all need that support, especially if you want to be a blockchain for good. So that's really where we are in terms of that. I don't know if you have any initial questions, particularly, I don't know if Marcus has left now. I can't really see you. I'll stop sharing this. We will share the brochure with you later on. And of course, you can ask any of these questions on the Telegram channel later on if you have to leave.
Christian, I have a question.
So any initial questions?
Christian, can you hear me?
Yes.
I have a question. You had mentioned that the French government was supporting this project, or is supporting this project. Do you have any other details on that? Like how long they've been supporting and how long they plan on supporting, and how long we will overlap with their support?
Yeah, if anyone else wants to explain, Brian or Devin or something. So I'm not talking all the time.
So what we understand, we did some due diligence to sort of verify the French government's involvement. And in fact, Brian looked over some of the documents that were provided regarding their involvement, and they showed pictures of a French delegation that came and toured the initial site that was, I think, was a 0.8 hectare site that was their sort of start of this project last year. And so we know that they were involved. We know the approximate amount. I think it was it 30,000? Was it 30,000 euros initially? Their target funding from the French government.
Close to 30,000 euros.
Yeah, they've received something like 20,000 of that. According to Elliot, it's ongoing, and the French government does plan on continuing to support their work. But to date, that work is confined to that initial site, and we have selected one or two separate sites so that our work is not mixed in with their work, and that we have sort of finite, verifiable areas that we can monitor with our own monitoring and share with our audience. And one of the key things that we've just done is we've raised funds, purchased and sent them a drone and 2 iPhones, which will enable them to fly over the sites, give us aerial views, and sort of monitor the growth and the labor that's being done, the different projects that are being done in a much better way than just a handheld phone on the ground. So that's my update.
No, that's good. I have a follow-up question as well, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So I understand these are going to be fruit-bearing trees. They're going to be productive trees, and you know, I think at some point, I guess I assume that means that they will become, this project will gain, it's self-sustainable from an economic standpoint. Do they have any estimate on based on the growth and maturity of these trees and the speed at which they can be put in the ground, and can they estimate a time frame in which this becomes self-sustainable?
Yeah, so that's a good question, because we initially had to take quite a bit of time to wrap our head around this very different model, which, unlike, you know, so many of the reforestation projects, you just sort of plant trees and then walk away and make sure they're still growing over time. This is sort of 4 different categories. One is the soil regeneration, water retention, digging wells, all the sort of earthwork that happens before planting. 2 is growing vegetables and crops like that for food for the farmers themselves. 3 is growing fruit crops and things that they can actually sell to have an income. And 4 is indigenous tree planting for shade trees, for carbon sequestration, for reforestation. And those don't always happen in the same place. So while there's a broad overview sort of catchphrase that they use of food forest, in our first site, they plan to separate some of those areas within the overall site. So they've identified an area that will be just indigenous forest, and there'll be no farming in that area. There's another larger area where they'll be growing both vegetable and fruit crops, and then some indigenous shade trees over the top of that. And then there's a third area where they establish a nursery, because unlike a lot of places where reforestation projects just go out and buy seedlings and plant them, they actually start from seed. So they grow the seedlings all the way from seeds, and each site will have a nursery to do that, and that will be ongoing.
Yeah, I can show you actually a few pictures. I mean, so how we have communicated with them before, and they're really good in preparing presentations. That's how they got us hooked as well. I'll just share a screen again. So we have received sort of a pretty good presentation about different sites that they're working on. First of all, you can see where the sites are located in Madagascar in terms of the island. They have sent us pictures of the, specific coordinates. And this is the Ranamafana site. That's the biggest site. And actually, it's not acres, it's hectares. We figured that one out, but we haven't gotten an updated presentation. So there is this large plot of land here that is actually growing some crops already. And that is actually the tree nursery that will be able to produce all the seedlings you need for all future projects and the other sites. You can see the other sites here are rather barren that they have at the moment. And they are currently applying for larger land plots from the government that they will be able to receive for free if they are using them for reforestation. We are in contact with them directly via, well, Telegram at the very least, and we have gotten pictures from them, and partly we send them the drone because the pictures are not always, easy to fathom sort of what it looks like if you just get a snapshot with a mobile phone from certain areas. How do you see any progress? But that's basically the site that they are currently planning on reforesting, and they have sent us a map of how they are, which one is the nursery and which one is going to be a food forest and so forth. But we have to ask. That's one of the things. And actually, Veritree had the same problem, even with an existing charity. They had no pictures whatsoever. So it's part of us actually. It's important for us to ask the right questions to get the right pictures, because they are just a small crew of 3 people, at least the managers, and then a large crew of farmers that they are hiring. But none of them are like media techie people. So for us to communicate things, we need to kind of ask the right questions and also support them on the technology aspect. Like we had to kind of brief them on setting up their own Ada wallet in order to get them onto the Cardano ecosystem. So that's just a few pictures here that we recently received. And they have sent us, so when we ask them, they send us more pictures. They explain us this with what zones exist, and a couple of things. I mean, it's mostly in French, so we'll have to rely on Brian sometimes to translate if you're not speaking French already. But that's what we got there, and we sent the drone down there, and it should arrive according to Drevin. Yeah, we're on the 16th, so not too long.
Christian,
so
if you click on the last image, it shows the different areas. So scroll down.
Yeah,
click
okay.
on, scroll down a little further.
That's it. That's the maximum.
Yeah,
So,
there.
Yeah. So they send us kind of a drawing like that.
So that shows the areas. The yellow is the tree nursery. The green will be the endemic forest because it's steep and it already has some mature trees there. And the orange is the largest area where most of the work will be done. And what's deceptive about this is that this site, unlike the others, is not just a burned over barren site. It looks like there's, sort of a forest there already. But in fact, most of those, they tell us, are weed species, and the endemic trees that are there will be preserved, but much of that will be cleared, weeded, and implanted with the new species.
Yeah.
Ben, in answer to your question about how long is the estimate to sustainability, I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. Are you talking about food security, where the farmers, they get everything established and then they have a regular crop to sell and a regular crop to eat, and then the project can move to another site? Is that what you mean?
Essentially, yeah. So this kind of came to mind because they had mentioned, or Christian had mentioned, that the French government's support, may be limited, and I know our project is probably not open-ended, right? We had already said it's 6 months, but I don't know how long the donations go beyond our 6-month ISPO target. But I guess my concern is, are we going to be providing enough runway for them to grow these trees to maturity and be self-sustaining from an economic standpoint without further support from France or Cardano?
Right. So one aspect of it is that the French government supported them at another site, right? And each site is owned by the farmers. The sites are not owned by CNC Ala. And so each site teaches the local landowners agroforestry, sustainable approaches to growing food, permaculture. So all those principles are taught in the first year, and the first growth cycle of planting and harvesting in the case of vegetables, and maybe in the first few years for fruit trees. But once the farmers are familiar with the idea of rainwater retention, composting, permaculture, cover crops, all these sort of principles, then even though the project might end or it might move on to another subsequent site, the landowners and the people there have benefited from that, and most of the planting is done of the perennial crops, the perennial species. And all that is left each year then is tending those, weeding, and replanting of annual species for vegetable crops. So it really does kind of address most of the needs of the community in the first growth cycle, so that they can go on and be independent from there forwards, at least in theory.
Yeah, the other thing is we had a meeting about this, and we haven't gotten the materials here, but they have prepared a very good plan just for this piece of land, and the questions that you raised were already asked. And one of the things we learned there, so a lot of the time and the initial time will be in preparing the area before you're actually seeding out. And actually what it sounds like, if we can maintain them for at least, for example, 6 months now, they will be able to basically prepare the land and get that piece of land settled for a good way forward already. I mean, obviously trees are going to grow and take time to grow, but once the weeding has been done and the preparations have been done, in the next 6 months, they will have a large piece of land, including their tree nursery, which sets them up for future progress. So that's sort of kind of the idea. So we said, okay, is it meaningful for us to do $50,000, for example, to make sure the first hectares are done. And it seems to be the case. Actually, they said to us the minimum they would require per month is about $1,000, and that helps them to pay the farmers that are going on the land and preparing everything. And so that should be something as a group of stake pools we should be able to do for a long time. But the idea is that we get more funding together so we actually reach the full target, and then we just leave it there in a pot for them to do their work for the next 3 years. So they have a 3 years plan and longer. And if they get more funding, and you might understand this, but how it works with funding is if you have a little bit of funding here, it's usually easier to get more funding over there because there is some vetting done. I mean, we are in this project partly because we knew that French government has already supported this one, which takes away a lot of the auditing aspect and make sure the money does go into the right places and they actually exist. So that's kind of important in a sense. So I think I'm quite confident that once we have, now that we are starting, I feel that they are now enabled to do really good work and get going. And I think if we can do that for a reasonably long time, they'll be set up to do really good stuff. And the more money we can donate, the more we can help to advertise the project as well, not just for us, but for them. The more likely they're going to survive in the long run and maybe expand this further.
Yeah, Christian, I would love to, I need to go in 1 minute, but I would love to then discuss with you and hear what is being produced, what type of agriculture there.
Yeah.
Because as you know, the other project we have in Ghana, actually we have a multinational which is a sustainable multinational national for plant-based milk, is actually buying the products from the farmers. So I mean, it's a big discussion to discuss and evaluate. And
I think there's so many aspects in this project, and you're absolutely right. We want to have these monthly meetings with them, and that we want to record. So I think what will happen, what we should have, is that everyone participating, brings in any questions and asks the people directly, and hopefully, if the language allows, and they do speak pretty good English, but I think if you speak French, it might be even better, which I think you do, isn't it?
Yeah, I speak French.
So it will be helpful to have that connection, and then we would love to have your aspects on carbon capture. I mean, what we haven't really said, but we are partnering also with, for example, Block Carbon, which is a Catalyst-funded project that looks at carbon credits. Yoram here has a connection to satellite-based tracking of planting. So there's a lot of aspects to this project. Also, if you have any interest as a pool, any technology that you want to integrate, I somehow think there is a means of implementing into this whole project life cycle, from start launching, from the Cardano aspect, blockchain aspect, down to carbon capture, tree planting. And there are lots of events that we can organize around this as well, to get more people on board and actually to learn from each other. It's not just to gain delegators, it's about doing good and about learning something together and hopefully grow the community and help each other.
Thank you. I need to go have another project about Ethiopia now. So
yeah, there's a lot of interest once you're out there. Yoram, the one thing I wanted from you just to make sure is, so we are planning, we want to launch this, but the best way probably of launching this is to organize 1 or 2 larger events where people come together and input, alongside us. Maybe an initial event where people put brainstorming ideas together, and then more of a launch event a bit later. And I know Cardano for Climate is very good at that, has a larger community that is more regularly meeting than we have to have.
I'm with you. So let's see the results of tomorrow. You are waiting for, and maybe then we can actually organize an event around supply chains, and I mean, because it's all around farmers. I mean, there's a lot of projects around farmers, right? And that can be one of them, and there you will launch this one to everyone. So that can be one idea. But let's discuss it anyway. We are happy to help any way you think you need, basically.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, John.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, so that's, I think there's a lot of interest. So if people have any more questions, here's, I just shared the screen. So these are the 3 people that we have had a lot of contact with. When we talk about Elliot, that's one of the founders. We have Sarah here, who is doing a lot of the operations and finance bit, and she makes sure that the money is accounted for, and we get receipts from the NGO that says that they're an NGO. So if people need to tax verify things, that is sorted. And Magali here is the one that really is the person on the ground and runs around and does the earthwork and coordinates the farmers together, I think, with Sarah. But mostly Sarah and Magali are in Madagascar, and Elliot is, I think, he wants to go back, but he's mostly in France. So a lot of this stuff goes through France at the moment. But if there's enough funding, they hope to get back to Madagascar to run this properly and long term. More questions? Guys, no? What are you guys thinking? Like the new pools, what are the questions that come to mind? I mean, we realize we have been doing a lot of meetings with them. We had a lot of questions, and we certainly haven't answered them all now by just showing you a brochure. But that's basically where we are. And we have tokenomics, so we can tell you a little bit more about tokens if you're interested. We can talk about NFTs and the collaboration we have there, and so forth. But it's kind of interesting for us to know, for you as new pools, or as you know, so far passive pools on CNC, are you still interested in participate? Is this an interesting project to you? Is this too engaging, and so forth? Can you donate? I mean, are you interested in donating 20% of your income? It might be difficult for some, but that's, I think, how it works at the moment. So yeah, please comment or ask your questions.
I might jump in there with a couple of thoughts here. I guess I'm a very small pool, and I haven't been to the block for a wee while. And so yeah, in principle, 20% sounds fine, but haven't had any blocks, any income lately to do it. So and I guess it's just probably just the observation that yes, there's lots and lots of stuff going on, and there's finding the way to be able to distinguish this from all the other projects that are floating around. But I think it is trying to find that right market, those that want to do more than get rewards, that they want to do something good with their ADA. I think it's probably a good way to be able to market it. So
yeah, I mean, our thoughts on this in general was that I think we are a very unique project here and a very unique community. There is no other ISPO charity project out there where more than one SPO donates, you know, to, and not as far as I know at the moment. We are basically a decentralized community. We are not like some company that are working together here to do certain things. We are, you know, we are a decentralized community. We are coming together here, and we want to do projects that are having a climate impact. And I think that's very unique. We all struggle, obviously, to maintain our pool, not all of us, but we have very small pools and we have very large pools. We are all or mostly single pools. And for this project, we can only usually work with single pools because we are going to use some token distribution mechanism that requires you to be member of the single pool alliance. And it also goes hand in hand with our ethics on the whole project. What we also are very keen on, and we try to spread that notion, we want to get away of the quick money, but we want to get more people involved into long-term projects that do good. And it is a hard graft. We understand that, but we hope by having a good mission and not giving up too early, that will eventually feed through and people will eventually join the community. But we also understand that means we have to become better on marketing. And that's where I think also small pools like yourself, Jeremy, would come in very well, because we are falling short on a lot of aspects on Discord, on Twitter, and people are, we have been quite good, but people are burning out. So if we can have a group-based marketing strategy where we can share the efforts, we can probably engage a big enough community to join us and stick with us for a long time, which also, then hopefully sticks around as delegators too.
Also, so addressing the small pool difficulty of minting blocks, one of the primary purposes of this whole project is our intent is that this will draw more delegators to the small pools, so they will be able to mint blocks regularly and participate to support the small pools. We will have well limiters, and we also are planning on building in bonus mechanisms so that the smallest pools get more CNC tokens for their delegates, and up to potentially 1 million ADA staked to the pool. So those are two quite cogent arguments for becoming a participating pool, because it should allow you to boost your stake.
Yes.
Then participating pools also get CNC tokens themselves for participating. It's kind of like the compensation for donating. So, I mean, hopefully we can raise up enough pools to be able to mint blocks regularly, so we can all get more donations coming in. I think that's like one of our main objectives here too.
Yeah, good point, Brian.
No, it's, I think, yeah, it does sound good, and I guess hopefully we're not excluding, because I'm trying to sign up for any other appropriate ISPO to attract delegations as much as you can. Hopefully we're not.
Well, we do have actually, Jeremy, we have actually, thanks to the work we've done with Veritree, and we have had a lot of let's say positive input from the Cardano Foundation, from input output as well. We have direct contacts to them, and they are waiting for projects like this to be launched, and they are happy to help. But we do realize that, for example, with the CNC tokens, and we can learn there from other projects, actually NFT projects or smart places. So we have Richard here, and because what we will need is to do that community management and that outreach on a regular basis. So we have to improve on our Discord. At the moment, our Discord is more or less unused because we don't have any moderators, but we think with an ISPO launch and a token launch, what we can offer to kind of moderators, even if they're not stake pool operators, if you know anyone, if they're happy to contribute, then they can be moderators in the Discord, they can be community ambassadors, etc., and they can get CNC tokens for that, and then participate in creating utility. That also is important. Everyone that gets CNC tokens, that there is a sort of baked in interest to help create value in it. So if you have some CNC tokens, you are interested probably to increasing its value, and that's sort of the basis of printing, of having tokens. But we need to make sure that these tokens continuously stay valuable. And in the future projects, I mean, this is our first specific project after the Veritree Cardano Forest launch with our tokens, but we will have more projects, and as CNC token holders, people will have an ability to vote on future projects. And so I hope, or we hope, we can have a really good community build up here. But we realize we need people to work together to do that. And there's a bit of a socialist aspect here to it. And, we try to protect everyone, but there may be some aspects of, some large pools. There's always a risk that people move over to the smaller pools if there are some bonuses. We have discussed this already. We're trying to prevent this. But the Cardano blockchain it's all not 100% foreseeable how it's evolving. So we'll have to see how it goes, and there's always a risk to it. But if we run this properly and we market this properly, I believe there will be a lot of interest, and we certainly have high support as well. If we can pull it off nicely and we have a good timeline, good brochures, good marketing with it, we will have a lot of support from large entities as well. And hopefully, I think, I don't know who said it, but there's then also that interest from larger companies that may want to collaborate and use us basically as an NGO, but you can just delegate your current wallets to pools of us, and you will have, you will be able to show to your customers and clients that you're doing good by either showing your CNC tokens or certificates that you're getting from us for the progress on these reports, on these projects. So I think there's a lot of room there to do really good stuff and also grow.
Very good. No, I like the sound of it. It's yeah, I mean, I've been trying to regenerate native bush here in New Zealand on my property myself, and I know the challenges it takes to. I've had hares come and cut down half my trees for me at night. There's just some realities of growing trees that are pretty painful. So it'll be good to see it happen, and especially all across the world. Yeah.
I think you're a great candidate because we are going to look at Twitter. We run Twitter Spaces as well. We have had a bit of a stop with the Easter time, but Devin, for example, he has been planting forest behind his house for a long time, and actually there's a lot of room for some of the experts that we know and that we get in touch with now to just talk about challenges on tree planting or on carbon credits or any of the topics that are coming up, which I think will be quite valuable to the community and also bring in more people into the Cardano space to join us basically. So yeah, your input would be very valuable there, your experiences.
Yeah, I think you've already been on one of our Twitter Spaces too before and gave some feedback as well. So
yeah, no, I remember talking to you, Brian. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, again, it's about running this. It's good to have enough people to share all of these. The marketing takes a lot of time, and we learn here from the NFT spaces as well. And it appears to be up to 80% of the time that you have to spend on this, and we haven't been that good on it. Yeah. So yeah, the one thing we had, I don't know, we might want, if Lucas wants to maybe tell us a little bit of what he thinks from what you heard so far. So we're kind of on the right spot. Does it sound interesting? What kind of answers are you looking for?
Sure, sounds interesting. And so far I would like to participate. I'm kind of in this same position as Jeremy. My pool is very small and barely producing blocks. Now it's been 3 months since I've produced a block. Sounds very cool that you would like to make a little how do you say, that you would like to have the smaller pools generate a little bit more tokens for the delegators than the large ones. I already mentioned to Brian, currently I'm looking also at other ISPOs because yeah, it's really hard to attract delegators just by posting Twitter messages and stuff like that without having anything else to offer besides the regular delegation rewards. And I don't know how all of these ISPOs work, but quite a few of them, they basically took all your all your fixed fees, or I mean all your fees, and generated some other tokens for those. So if I would join one of those, obviously I couldn't be in this ISPO at the same time. But I don't really know if I sign up somewhere. You have to sign up at a very early point, and then you don't yet know how it's going to look like, and if you can be in 2 ISPOs at the same time, or yeah, I don't have experience with that.
Yeah, most of the ISPOs that are doing 99 or 100% margin are spinning up their own pools now, and rather than asking pools to raise their margin to 99 or 100% or something like that, from what I've seen. And that's, Lucas, you're talking about exactly why we sort of building this type of project is so that small pool owners can have a really nice little package of reasons why delegates should come and stake with them. Not just the feel-good factor, but something you can give in return and long-term value and utility. So yeah, we're working on all of those aspects of why this sort of project should help raise up the small pools in climate neutral Cardano.
Yeah, and we have a couple of people who have participated. I think Brian, for example, is in Ardana, EcoPool is in Ardana. So there are ISPOs which don't grab all your money. And I've been talking to new ones that are coming up, and I clearly said to them, look, we have this model, we need to donate. We're donating 30% of our income. You know, actually in our group it's also different. We have set a minimum 20%, but there are people that are donating up to 50%. You know, and you can choose that yourself, depending on what you feel is important to you. We don't know if this is all going to work, but I think it comes down a lot to the marketing aspect. So not everyone is a keen marketeer or something, but I think being part of the community and being able to communicate the project and what's happening, that would be really, really helpful. And also it brings in your own community into your pools. If you create your own pool channel on our Discord, for example, and you know, there's a lot of benefits in this, and I think we have to get away, and we have to be able. We're trying to find things that we can do good in the world, and it can't just be about money. So that's why some of this needs to go, and we have set that 20% threshold purely because there's a lot of people who are running on renewable energy, and you know, they look for quick fixes to get delegators, because we all are, you know, having difficulties to attract delegators without having that big marketing splash. But I think it's coming down to that marketing splash. So if we can do that well, and if we can do it in a good way, that is not about quick money, but about doing good, then hopefully we get a community that joins our pools. And hopefully also the big pools that we have had that discussion, you know, they shouldn't lose out to the small pools too much, but actually, if there's a two-sided thing. As a small pool up to 1 million, you will get a bonus, but you also and the big pools have questioned that, whether or not that is right, and it's always good to have that discussion. But then you also have to remember, like what happens at the moment, if you are a big pool, your ROA, so your ADA rewards, will still be higher than anyone that delegates to your pool or to my pool, or you know, to anyone with 1 million or 2 million stake. So if people are considering that, they will get a few more CNC tokens if they're a very small pool, but they will not get as much of a return on ADA because they're with a small pool. And the CNC token, I think the utility creation is the key here, so that you have a nice token that you can say you're doing good stuff, and that they can tell to your delegators, or you can tell to your delegators, that they will be able to exchange it for NFTs and for something potentially valuable alongside voting power.
Just as a side note, new pools considering being a participating pool in this project, please register with a single pool alliance, because that'll be required for the distribution mechanism of the CNC tokens.
Yes.
And hi everyone. I want to be part of it too, also, because I'm part of the SPA Alliance, which Ardana Alliance. So yes, I would like to participate with you guys and donate 20%. And I also have a question regarding the between the active and the passive pool. Can you explain me more about that?
Brian, do you want to have a go?
Sure.
Okay.
So active pool members are required to make that 20% of income minimum donation. So in this case, it's going to the project, right? The CNC Ala project. But in the past, we just had that minimum donation to like green projects, right? And then by being an active member, you also get to participate in all of our calls with anyone that we're meeting with on projects. Like in the past, it was with Veritree, and I guess what was that? There were some calls that we did with IOG as well, but it was what's the sorry. Sorry. What's the other group?
What is your day this morning? What have you eaten this morning?
Not a lot.
Basically, I think the judgment is we have had lots more fun when we are if you're in the active pool. Basically, you're participating you're actively participating, and we wanted to have the ability, if people want to just on the side participate and join our renewable energy community, they can do it as passive pools. And we don't have a requirement on how much they should be donating as a passive pool. But if you want to be participating in this project and get CNC tokens, then we need you to be an active member, i.e. donate to the project. And automatically, if you participate in the project, you will become an active member because you are coming and you're joining. It's basically just as the name says, you're becoming active. You're not just joining the group because you believe in the kind of mission, but you actually actively put your time to it as well.
Yeah, for sure. It's just that, and not only that, is there any type of like any type of plan for the passive small pool operators to become becoming the active pool, active participant? Because sometimes it's better to help each other out, because it could hand to hand can help each other out to put on the active so that we can have more contribution. Sorry for me, because I also speak French too. My English kind of heavy a little bit, but I'm trying. I just want to know if it's possible to help those passive to become an active pool. Is there other way to help them out to become active? That's basically it. Do you guys have a plan for that?
Yeah, I mean, we want more active pools.
We try to encourage that.
Yeah, Devin, go
on. We try to encourage that as much as possible, while still being respectful of people's time and understanding that sometimes pools just aren't either able to donate 20% or they don't have the time to be active in the meetings and participating at the level that for an active member. But yes, certainly this kind of project and all of the things that we do are geared towards trying to expand the overall membership and hopefully over time onboard passive members to be active members. We have catalyst proposals that have been funded and that are applying for funding. And those projects welcome participation as well. Like, two of our members are doing climate footprint and carbon website proposals. And Brian's got another one with a green card game proposal. Those are all other activities that members are encouraged and welcome to help out and participate in. And they'll be showcased, already are showcased on the Climate Neutral Cardano website as well as things that are happening and activities that we're promoting.
I guess we're trying to get involved more with the other green groups in Cardano too, right? Like Cardano for Climate.
Right.
And Christian, you had talked about organizing a larger event later on this year, potentially with
not just in, I think soon for the launch. I feel like the outreach is really ideal if we can talk about the project with communities, if we have certain aspects of it that we are solving, and if we bring them together. We use, for example, Cardano for Climate as a launch board as well, because there are a lot of people who go to those events they managed to run, you know, weekly Zoom meetings, and people are occurring there, and we visit their meetings. It's really not that we are separate from them, but it's sort of trying to get the climate community on Cardano together and help each other in whatever way. And we can all learn from each other, but we all have limited time. At some time, I mean, there's only 24 hours in a day, and a lot of us have to work or do other things. So active here is really about being active, and partly if you come to the meetings, not every meeting, but it's quite easy to decide who is active and, you know, raise yourself up. As a minimum, I would request that people are participating, and that doesn't cost anything other than a bit of time. So if you're keen to do something, then it's just give us a shout and, you know, join. And after a couple of meetings and you know, working together, we can raise any pool to a higher level. I mean, we do have that 20% threshold, purely because there was a group of there was a CO2 neutral group, for example, that people just joined, and basically we need people to participate. You can't do anything if people are just signing up and do nothing. It doesn't really get us anywhere. And so we always try to have that encouragement. You know, there is the passive route. You can just stay there. You can use the logo, but we will want to see that people are donating and that they run on renewable energy on their website. That's really all the requirement there is. And hopefully they don't do anything bad so that we have to ask them to remove it or something. But as an active member, you can participate, you can do whatever, you can propose things, but we need you, we need your energy and your ideas. Sort of, that's the idea.
Yeah, that's pretty much it, because I just want to know the global of your ideas also, because not only I'm thinking about the passive stick pulls, but I was thinking to help them out too, and at the same time, because I'm not saying it's not motivating, but I was thinking in my head that probably they wanted to donate to participate on the active also in this particular. But yeah, for me, for sure, I'm gonna be in the active position. I want to be involved in that space.
If you're on board, if you're on the active team, you can bring people in, like I brought Richard in. If there are any new ideas, you can propose them and we'll debate them. The main thing is you just have to keep in mind, because we're a larger group, everything takes quite a bit of time. We are not a company, and what we try to do is we convince each other that this is the right thing. And we have had lots of ideas, and we have now a 6 or 9 month process of trying to work together. And, we have the core group that is our original active members that have put a lot of energy into this. And we try to maintain that mojo, that kind of feeling that we're here not to do money, to get money, but to do good through Cardano, and also
of course,
maintain
money is the last thing. Money should be the last thing. It's just to help out the needs of all around. Like, for example, in Montreal, we have a lot of organization of certain country that need that and needs. But for me, at the same time, I want to be a part of, since we're in the Cardano, I like this community of we work together as a team. Like, for example, if the country, like you just mentioned about the brochure of Madagascar, like the French helping them too, but we have the part of we could do something. I like to do that too at the same time, because that's showing us that Cardano is doing something in global. So I want to be part of it too.
You're very welcome to join us, Gregor. We'd love to have you.
Yeah, thanks.
So yeah, Vito, I haven't heard anything from you today. How are you today? How's your company?
Good. I'm supporting Cardano now in the bear market.
All right. Yeah. Let's not talk about that. Or do we have to talk about that? But
yeah,
anyway.
it's the elephant in the room, but you're right. Yeah, doing good. Just very busy lately, guys. I've been promising the content to share on social media. Still working on it. Actually, I got a very good first version, but I realized the images were copyright protected, so I need to change them for open source and royalty free. And yes, then I'll just share them so that you take a look at it, and then we have some content to share it all together to start pushing the project and let the community know it. Because yeah, I think it's very important that we shout about it and that everyone knows what we're doing, especially among all this bad news. I think a little bit of good news it will help.
Yeah. Can I just, I'll suggest that I will stop recording video now so we can talk more, but we can talk as we like and what we want to talk about. And also the video is not too long then if we want to look at it later.
Do you want me to go over the tokenomics quickly? Or...
Do you want that on the video? Yeah, go on then.
Okay.
Yeah, Brian, if you want to share that, that's fine.
Okay.
So we're seeing...
Oh, I need you to enable screen sharing.
Yeah. Should be able now.
Okay. All right. Okay, can you guys see this?
Yes.
Okay. So basically, we talked a little bit about earlier that we were going to have a total supply of 100 million CNC. And for this first project, we're looking at about 28,000 or 28.5 million CNC allocated. These numbers are just kind of like our final draft that we came up with, but they're probably going to change by the time we're done since we haven't finalized everything. But basically, over 50% of the tokens are going to go to delegators who are staking to pools, to CNC pools participating in the ISPO. Then the original active SPOs will get 500,000 CNC each. And then any additional SPOs joining will get 125,000 CNC each. And this is just payment for work done and also for donating to this project. So some kind of compensation. And then all of the passive member pools will also get a little bit of CNC as well. Kind of an incentive for being a CNC pool. So hopefully that can at least get us maybe some more passive members into CNC. So we were looking at maybe 10,000 CNC each. CNC Ala, our NGO partner, is also going to get about 500,000 CNC. You could kind of, and that could be, I guess, distributed among the NGO and the farmers. Maybe try to kind of get people in Madagascar more familiar with Cardano, so that could potentially get more reach just by, like, people might want to know where are these donations coming from, what's this project, what's Cardano, how is it connecting or helping people in that country. So potentially that could onboard more people into Cardano. And then Cardano Proxies, our NFT partner, we're thinking of giving them 500,000 CNC as well, compensate them because the NFTs they're giving us for free. So they're paying for those, and this would give them something back for helping us out. I don't know if any of you who are new to the project have heard of Cardano Proxies, but you should definitely take a look at their project. You can find them on Twitter. I think their website is cardanoproxies.io. Let's check. Yeah, but they've got some amazing artwork. So their project sold out. So hopefully that kind of interest will carry forward into our project by having some really good NFTs. Ours won't be as high, I guess, as intense as these ones, but they'll still be good, I imagine. So, and then we were potentially going to onboard some other NFT projects as well, but we haven't really gone into detail on that. So we don't know if that will happen or not, but we're looking at potentially Earth natives and Cardano goats as well. And just because Cardano Proxies is doing more work for us, and they were our initial contact, they would get more CNC potentially than the other projects. But we also wanted to have, say, 200,000 CNC for promoters. So this could be people in the Discord who are moderators, or people advertising for us on Twitter or on other social media. So maybe like 10,000 CNC a person, we're thinking. And hopefully that can kind of extend our reach a little bit, because I know even though the stake pools are going to be probably the major pushers of the project, it would be helpful to have some more people that can kind of connect out to others, and then they can get compensated for that. And then we also wanted to have some bonuses applied. So we talked a little bit about, or Christian had talked about, like a bonus to pools under 1 million ADA delegated. So with Cardano Proxies, they had requested that we give a bonus to proxy holders as well. So that was one of the, their Gaia proxies in particular, because that's how they want to have the utility for those NFTs. So Gaia holders would get extra CNC from this project. So any bonuses that we have, and this doesn't necessarily mean that that'll be the max supply for the bonus. That was just kind of remaining from this breakdown of 28.5 million. So maybe we allocate more for bonuses depending on what we need. Like another bonus we had talked about was having people staying longer with our pools. Maybe they get a bonus for that too. So we just can't have too many bonuses, because we're going to have somebody managing this manually, and that'll be Tom. So from RSV pool, and every epoch you'll have to kind of go in and take snapshots of all of the participating pools delegators. So less work for him, the better. And in this breakdown, we don't have allocated for token buying yet, but we could potentially cut out a section for that as well, depending on what we determine. So there's lots of details to kind of still work out. So definitely helpful to have input from others and their thoughts on like how much we should be allocating for that. We just want to make sure that we have enough for future projects still. And we have to keep in mind like that we don't, I guess, dilute the value of a CNC token for redemption for NFTs. Not everybody's going to redeem for NFTs. Some might hold them or trade them. But say if you're looking at approximately how much CNC a delegator is going to earn right now with the numbers we have. So we kind of estimated that if each pool is at 5 million delegation, we have 40 SPOs participating. Per 1,000 ADA staked, you would earn about 2 CNC tokens per epoch. And that's just kind of how that all breaks down. If more people participate, or all of our pools get more saturated, then that will reduce the amount of CNC everybody earns. But we kind of figured this is most likely scenario if we're being, I guess, being reserved on our numbers. So, yeah. Does anybody have any questions or thoughts?
That was exactly the question I wanted to make. The maximum amount of pools that you would accept, or did you even thought about it, about having a maximum amount of pools?
I mean, it would be nice to get more pools, and obviously that would mean that this number would go down unless we kind of cut out more CNC for delegators from our future projects, but we were just thinking that 40 is probably going to be the most we would get, but maybe we could get more. I mean, it would be nice if we could get 100. That would make it really big, but that does mean less CNC for everybody. So I don't know.
One thing to bear in mind is that unlike other ISPOs where hundreds or thousands of pools would love to jump in and be an ISPO pool, this one requires pools to donate 20% of their earnings. So it's not like we're going to get a flood of pools coming in saying, hey, I want to be a CNC ISPO pool. This is going to be, this is a pretty high bar to join and a pretty high commitment. And so as long as they understand that, we will welcome them, but it's not going to be, like Sunday Swap where we have a deluge of pools trying to be participating pools here.
Just because there is some cost for them.
A significant cost, 20% of their income.
Yeah, so I think
I was also.
Go on, Richard.
Thank you. I was also thinking about it for the amount of work that you have. Then if you have a big amount of pools and you have to control if they are donating or not, then maybe it is a lot of work. And if you have then 100 pools, maybe that will be a lot of work. But if they all will be donating and actively connecting, if I may say that.
It should be self-evident because we have a mechanism where the pools enter their donations each month themselves. And so if some are lacking, it will show right up in that document.
So the token is also not given if it is like doing a snapshot and then through the snapshot see what they may get.
Yeah, we have vending machine. We're using vending machine on this. So there will be the 20 or whatever it is, 20 million or something will be put into a vending machine wallet, and they will distribute the token based on people delegating to relevant pools. We need to, we actually do need to check that the pools are indeed donating. So there's probably going to be, it's a good point, a lag period when people have to show they have donated their monthly donation, and then they will be approved to that their delegators receive the rewards. So Tom will have to manage that a little bit, but there's obviously a 1 month lag there. Probably a good point to think about. We did some initial math on how many pools we wanted, and it really comes down to if we want to really fund 1 million, 300,000 ADA or $300,000. We needed quite a high number of pools in order to even, depending on what distribution there is, obviously, but like medium-sized pools from small to big, in order to reach a meaningful amount and maintain the project. And that wasn't even enough. That's why we need to open up probably direct donations if we want to really achieve the full donation goal. But with our pools at the moment, we should be able to reach the intermediate milestone and get charity to a certain point. So yeah, we haven't really set a limit. I think it's all down to, let's sort out the trial, the launch, and then see what happens when we launch, sort of. Are we actually attracting delegators? And I think we can, and that's purely down to creating a little bit of hype. And I think you, Richard, you are probably, that's why you're here to a degree as well, is that Smart Places has done a pretty good job on getting the message out there, communicating and building a community. And I think we are still having to learn there a little bit on making sure before we launch that we have enough people on board, that we get actually the outreach and people are aware of the project.
Yeah,
Richard,
from my side, yes.
Richard's question though does bring up the point of, well, so if you are going to put a maximum, it probably needs to be declared at the outset.
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't put a limit yet. I think that's partly why we have the reach at the moment. We are reaching out to people and see how attractive it sounds, and then also what kind of pools are interested. I think it turns out I'll have another conversation tomorrow with another of our passive pools, and I think the bigger the pool, the more likely people will have restrictions of donating 20%. But we want the bigger pools. So it's that kind of experience we're having at the moment by reaching out to you guys, everyone who's there. I mean, how easy is it that people commit to that? And then we can probably set a bit of a limit if we know what the kind of general pool that joins us, is, and maybe we have to have a limit on pools that are, I mean, at least when we open up pools that are very, very small, that haven't even made a block, because is a very big interest in joining an ISPO like ours, but they won't contribute anything to the donations because they don't make blocks initially. So I think we discussed the minimum block of that we wanted at least one block have been made, like I think other ISPOs have used, but we haven't completely defined all the criteria. So I think any of the input is really helpful. By the way, I did, just to launch or to kind of advertise for the smart places, what I've done, and maybe Richard, you can introduce it to yourself as well a little bit. I did buy a smart place exactly where the Madagascar project is planting the forest. At least I hope I have the right place, because it's pretty hard to pin this down on that map. But it would be great if we can utilize and collaborate and partner with our Do Good project with other projects that already have a community, and link into those, because Smart Places is not, it does have an SPO part that Richard is actually leading on, and they have a massively big community of like 4,000 or 5,000 people in their Discord who are all looking for connecting the real world with the metaverse. And actually that's sort of what we are doing here in this project too. We are connecting, the blockchain world with real world impact. And I feel there are probably a lot of projects on the blockchain that we can maybe link into. And initially it's people like Richard here who may be able to connect us into that space and help us get a bit more outreach.
Richard, would you mind giving us just a brief overview of what Smart Places is?
A little disclosure, I'm only a moderator on their Discord, so I cannot speak for Smart Places as a representative from the team. That is also why I need to know what when we can gather again, so I can maybe with more time to give the information for the team to schedule the meetings, because today they are meeting with an YouTuber and they are preparing something also for the marketing side of it, so they couldn't attend to this meeting. But if they can come here and to speak about Smart Places, then maybe there may be a possibility to use the site from also metaverse, because Smart Places is also coming to the metaverse side of the blockchain, but also connecting people together, not only through social media on blockchain, but also with people on the land plots. So these NFTs that were minted 1 week ago, they were land plots on the real world map that you could choose. You can choose one specific area, and then you get one NFT, and that NFT has the coordinates for that specific land plot. So in the future, using one app developed by Smart Places, then you can connect with other people as a social media interface, but also while connecting directly with other people on that specific land plot that you own or another person owns, you also get the Smarties. Those are the tokens from Smart Places protocol. And the person that owns that land plot also gets the Smarties, those tokens. So you get the tokens not only by connecting with other people, but also by forcing advertisement. If you accept to see advertisement, then for that advertisement you get tokens also. So there is a way to bring more power to the people that are using a smart a social media platform through an app, but not only online, also through directly connecting. It can be in concerts, it can be in big events, or just taking a photo, as something that Christian wished, to have someone there taking photos with their mobile phones and then sharing the photo, so you can see the photo on that specific land plot. It was taken there and it is connected with that area. It is something that I cannot promise that will be done in the future, but it is something that I, as a moderator, gave further to the team as an idea. And I wish I could have now the team here to speak for Smart Places directly, but it is something that I'm also trying to help on.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think we can organize. I mean, we will have more meetings. There was a bit of a lag period, and we have been doing very specific project meetings, which were a little bit on short notice, depending on when people had time. So it is harder to have a consistent meeting schedule. I think now after Easter, we are coming back into that kind of rhythm, and in order to make progress on the project, just for everyone here as well, we have had 2 or 3 meetings every week to discuss and work on things in between. And it has been quite taxing on some people, you know, depending on, we don't expect everyone to be there all the time. But in order to drive and make progress on tokens, tokenomics, and everyone to know about them and agree on what we're doing together, so everyone is in agreement, it takes a lot of time, and it takes those meetings to just communicate what's happening. So just be prepared. In order to roll this out, there will have to be, you know, regular meetings, at least once, if not twice a week, where people can participate. And then hopefully, if we get new people coming and joining, we want to get back to the Twitter spaces. We have also stopped that because we didn't have capacity to do it. And we need, each time it's a marketing effort to get out there and do it. Again, that's why I think we have to focus on our Discord and build that community a little bit more. We will have in the next meeting, I think, or next week, hopefully, we will have support from Tudor, from the proxies. And also, I think we can use Richard here as well, because we wanted to talk a little bit more about how we should moderate, ideally, our Discord channel, so we can build that community. And we have had offers from them to help us with that. And for that, we do need people like yourselves, so anyone that joins here, to commit to do some tasks, i.e. we can have a circulation or something like that, but every week, you know, a group of 2 SPOs is daily checking the Discord and communicating to people, because you have to have that engagement. And not everyone here can do that all the time. That's partly why we have to increase numbers, because many of us are having a daytime job, and we have to do this in the evenings, you know, and you can't tweet too much during your work time. I mean, depending on what you're doing. But so it would be good if you can coordinate that, have a communication strategy about how we do this. And if there's anyone here, I mean, I know some have already left, but if we can get some more marketing people involved to help us, I think now is the time. We kind of, because we got a general idea, we got the NGO sorted, we know how that works. We have agreed reporting, we have the tokenomics now sorted. I think now the next step is marketing and outreach, and how we communicate the launch and when that's happening. You know, after minting the tokens and actually Tom is not here today, but he's the one that is having done some trial mints already of the tokens. So we will probably have the tokens by the end of the month, and we'll be able to start distributing as a sort of next milestone.
Yeah, two of the next things that we need to tackle in more depth are the NFT redemption, you know, whether we're having multiple NFT artists or not, getting all that nailed down, and then also a donation site.
Yeah, so there's various things that we still have to sort out, but reaching a bigger community is one thing. And if we have a bigger community and active pools, that's why we always go on about active pools, is because, you know, if there's a holiday week, maybe there's only 3 people there, you can almost not make any decisions because you're not enough people. So you can work through certain issues, and then you have to communicate it to the rest of the group. But again, everyone needs to be on board. And that's important. So that's why it's good if we have more active pools like you, Greg. If Lucas can join us more regularly. I mean, again, not every week, but we'll try to be good also in terms of secretary, in terms of posting the meetings. That ends up usually on my shoulder, and people sometimes expect me to post these things all the time. But it's first to agree on it, and then also posting it has to happen, you know, in a regular basis. And there's only so much one person can do, or, you know, so, but as a group of people, we can manage. So that's why it's good to have you guys here and more people to join us, and then hopefully create that community.
Anyone have any more questions?
Sorry, Lucas, go on.
Maybe I can comment on that on the Telegram channel. I don't have time to catch up on the Telegram and on the Discord channels of various projects where I'm involved. You mentioned I've seen you sent email out about this meeting, right?
Yeah.
But not only to the active members.
Well, it was a bit of a mixed bag, because I have the emails for the active members. We have the registration email, and I've included a couple of people that I had contacted before, and Brian has contacted the others. And because I sent it out, I wasn't sure if I should contact everyone or not. So this is the kind of communication issue. You know, if one person decides, it's difficult. Which way is the right way to do it? Should I just contact people without having prepared them? So it's about people, do they all want emails? Do they want to be on Telegram? Do they want to be on Discord? Everyone has a different preference. And I think we have our core communication happens at the moment on Telegram, purely, and we have an active Telegram group, which it's a bit easier to communicate because there's less people in it. But you also realize in the general Cardano group, you don't have all the details all the time there, because it gets quickly overwhelming. And there are a lot of people also that are advocating on Discord, because it seems to be an easier way of manage a lot more information. But again, not everyone is really yet on the Discord range. So there's active meetings, Zoom meetings like this, Twitter spaces that we want to have to get more people from the outside in. And we have to have a core to communicate, which at the moment looks like it's Telegram and Discord. At the moment, only Telegram mostly. So we can discuss this a little bit more. I don't know what your preference is, Lucas, there. I realize there's a lot on Telegram, but there's a lot on Discord too. I don't know. We have to communicate somehow.
The short answer and the pattern that we have established now is that the links for the active member meetings are posted in the active Telegram channel and emailed to the active members.
Yeah. Does that work for you, Lucas? Email?
I mean, you said for the active members, so you could probably send this email to the passive members as well. I mean, I wouldn't mind getting this information by email if you don't mind. Because
so that's different for the general meetings for all passive members. Those have just in the past been posted on the general climate neutral Cardano Telegram thread, not emailed to all the passive members.
Yeah. Well, for me personally, I would like to have the really let's say, the really important information by email, because by email you can reach basically everyone, and everyone is going to see the email. I don't know for the rest of all of the guys if you can catch up with all.
If you want to participate, Lucas, if you decide to participate, you're becoming part of the active group, and then we'll email you directly. Okay. We just want to see people actually, and not just have someone that we never met to be part of the active group. That could be we are very open, but it's that kind of vetting mechanism of at least once we want to see people. And we have a lot of passive pools in the group that we have never met, and that's people just become inactive by just not ever engaging. I realize it's important to make an effort, so we have for this project we have actively now emailed people, and we have actively contacted people after we have our core set of ideas together. So if you're interested, then we'll add you definitely into the email list, and we can add you to the active group. But we do have, originally the meaning was we have general meetings every 2 weeks. That is for everyone. That was posted in our general Cardano group on Telegram, and that was shared. But we haven't emailed that out because I don't have, honestly, I haven't really made the effort to put all these emails in my Gmail and catalog and email everyone. So if I haven't seen people, it's a bit harder to email all these things out. I would like to, and generally have done it that way. When people are wanting to do things, they usually get in touch. And then we add them to the list, and we invite them to the active group. That's sort of the threshold. Okay. But when we do that for you now too, so you just become part of the active group if you're happy to be part of that, and then you'll have all the information. But we will continue to have the Twitter spaces and the general group meetings on the general meetings. It just becomes too much on the if we talk about all the individual meetings, about tokenomics, about how we send drones, how we get the reporting done. If we post all of these, it just becomes overwhelming. It is overwhelming even for us. So in a smaller group, it's easier to decide on whether or not we do this meeting then, or if we move the meeting so we have enough people there, than just generally posting everyone onto how many meetings we have. And that's the idea. Does this sound okay?
Sure.
Okay.
Christian, you might want to turn off the recording.
Yeah, I'll do.